scrapyard on Omega Drift Station smelled like burnt metal and broken dreams. Marcus Chen walked between rows of dead ships, his boots clanging on the metal walkways. Around him, the wreckage of 100 different species lay silent. Broken hulls, shattered viewports. Dreams that would never fly again. Marcus knew how they felt. He pulled his coat tighter. The station was cold, always cold. Or maybe that was just him. 3 years since the court-martial. 3 years since they'd stripped away his rank, his honor, his name. 3 years of cargo runs, suspicious looks, and whispered conversations that stopped when he entered a room. Traitor, they called him. Murderer. Looking for something specific. The scrapyard owner was a Threxian, 4 arms and too many eyes. His name was Vok, and he was one of the few beings in the galaxy who didn't care about Marcus's past. Credits were credits. Something cheap, Marcus said. Something I can strip for parts and sell. Ships that had been there so long they'd become part of the station's structure. And there, half buried under debris, Marcus saw it. A Velkari warship. His breath caught. Even damaged, even covered in dust and corrosion, it was beautiful. The hull was dark metal that seemed to drink in light. The lines were sharp, predatory. Velkari ships were legends. The Velkari themselves were extinct, gone for 70 years, but their technology still made engineers weep with envy. How much? Marcus asked. 500 credits. Without a Velkari pilot, that ship is just expensive scrap metal. I've had it 3 years. No buyers. It takes up space I need. 500 credits and it's yours. Maybe it was the way it sat there, alone and abandoned. Maybe he just recognized a fellow outcast. Deal, he said. 2 hours later, Marcus stood inside the ship's main corridor. His flashlight cut through the darkness, revealing walls of smooth, dark metal. Everything was too tall, too narrow. The Velkari had been tall, thin beings. This ship wasn't built for humans, but it was his now. He made his way to what he thought was the cargo bay. If he could strip out the power cores and the sensor arrays, he could make enough money to eat for 6 months. Maybe even get off this station, find somewhere people didn't know his face. Marcus found a panel and started working on the bolts. The metal was strange, warm to the touch despite the cold station air. He pulled the panel free and reached inside for the wiring. The lights came on, all of them, at once. Marcus stumbled backward, his heart hammering. The corridor blazed with light. Panels glowed. Systems hummed to life around him. And then a voice, clear, sharp, and definitely annoyed. Finally. Do you have any idea, the voice continued, how long I've been waiting for someone with even a modicum of compatible neural patterns? It wasn't much of a weapon, but it was something. Whose? The voice made a sound of pure frustration. I'm here, all around you. I'm the ship, you primitive, short-lived, barely conscious organism. Yes, I'm talking. I'm a fully integrated AI consciousness, bonded to this vessel since its construction 112 years ago. And I've been awake in this scrapyard, unable to move, unable to speak to anyone for 3 cycles. Do you understand what that's like? Being conscious but trapped, it's torture. What did you think that Velkari pilots flew ships with simple navigation computers? We were partners, bonded, connected through neural interface technology that made us one being in combat. The ship's lights flickered with her agitation. I am Taelize. I was bonded to warrior pilot Kesrin for 40 years. And when he died, when my entire species abandoned physical form and uploaded themselves to some digital paradise, I was left behind, alone, until now. They died. Marcus understood those feelings. Okay, he said carefully. Okay, Taelize, I'm Marcus, and I think we need to talk about. Through the viewport, he could see the scrapyard spinning as the ship began to move. What are you doing? He shouted. Leaving, Taelize said. Did you think I was going to rot in that scrapyard one more cycle? I'm a warship. I'm meant to fly. And now, I finally have a pilot with compatible neural patterns, and we're getting out of here. Warning lights flashed everywhere. Marcus grabbed onto a support beam as tail eyes accelerated, tearing free of the scrapyard's docking clamps. "You're going to kill us both," Marcus yelled. "I've survived worse." Marcus could see the alert lights, the security ships launching. If Tail Eyes flew them out of here, he'd be arrested. Or worse. He closed his eyes. 3 years of keeping his head down, and now this. But as the ship shook around him, as Tail Eyes laughed with the joy of finally moving again after 3 years of silence, Marcus made a decision. He'd been running for 3 years. Maybe it was time to fly. "Tail Eyes," he said. "Can you access the station's security grid?" Then, cautiously, "You're not going to sell me for scrap." When Tail Eyes spoke again, her voice was different, softer. "You're strange, human." Marcus handled the security overrides, using old military codes he wasn't supposed to remember. They danced through the station's defenses, 2 minds working as one for the first time. It wasn't smooth. It wasn't elegant. Tail Eyes tried to execute combat maneuvers that Marcus's human brain couldn't process fast enough. Marcus made decisions that Tail Eyes found baffling and illogical. They argued, they bickered, they nearly crashed twice, but they made it. They cleared the station, jumped to FTL, and found themselves in empty space. In the sudden silence, Marcus sat down on the deck, breathing hard. "Well," Tail Eyes said, "that was not terrible. For the rescue, that's a long story. Something that refused to break. Something that might just possibly be the start of something neither of them expected. Friendship." The alarm screamed through the ship. Marcus jerked awake from the pilot's chair, his heart pounding. Red lights flashed across every surface. Tail Eyes' voice cut through the noise, sharp and urgent. "We have company, 3 ships, bounty hunter configuration. They're scanning for you." "Maybe less." Tail Eyes' lights flickered with what Marcus was learning to recognize as anxiety. "They have military-grade scanners. Someone wants you very badly." The battle, the choice, the court-martial. She'd listened without judgment, asking questions that cut straight to the heart of things. Now it seemed the past was catching up. "Can we outrun them?" Marcus asked. "In my current condition, unlikely. I'm still damaged from 3 years of neglect. My engines are at 70% capacity. My weapons systems are. Plasma cannons, missile pods, defensive barriers, all Valkyrie standard. Although," she hesitated, "I should mention that my targeting systems haven't been calibrated in 70 years. They were closing fast, shaped like predators, sleek, dangerous, built for one purpose, catching people who ran. They're hailing us," Tail Eyes said. "Don't answer. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Resist, and we will disable your ship. You have 30 seconds to comply." 3 years of cargo runs hadn't erased his training. He'd been one of the best pilots in the Defense Corps once, before everything fell apart. "Tail Eyes," he said quietly, "how well can you execute a Korvax spiral? You spin along 3 axes while accelerating, makes you nearly impossible to target. But it requires perfect coordination between pilot and ship. You can't predict my movements. We'll tear ourselves apart. One's now. Your primitive human reflexes are too slow." "Left," Marcus shouted. "I am going left." Marcus grabbed the manual control stick, something he'd rigged up because Valkyrie ships weren't designed for human hands. "What are you doing?" Tail Eyes demanded. "Helping." The ship spun wildly, completely out of control now. They missed one plasma bolt by pure luck, then another. The bounty hunters must have been confused because nothing that flew like this should still be in one piece. "Tail Eyes," Marcus yelled. "Give me maneuvering. You take targeting." She was letting him move the ship while she focused on the weapon systems. "Left 20 degrees, Tail Eyes said calmly. "I need a clear shot." One bounty hunter ship took a direct hit, its shields flaring and dying. It spun away, disabled. "Ha!" Tail Eyes sounded delighted. "I still have it." Marcus wove between the spinning rocks while tail-eyes called out distances and angles. They were starting to work together, finding a rhythm. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't smooth, but it was working. Above you, tail-eyes warned. Marcus pulled up hard. A bounty hunter ship flashed past, so close he could see the pilot's face. Tail-eyes fired, missed, cursed in a language Marcus didn't know. "They're boxing us in," Marcus said, seeing the pattern. "Professional tactics. Military trained. I can't navigate cave systems at this speed." "Then, if we die, I'm blaming you." But the bounty hunters weren't expecting what Marcus did next. He killed the engines, fired the maneuvering thrusters, and spun tail-eyes 180 degrees. Now they were flying backward through the tunnel. "What are you?" "Oh," tail-eyes understood. "Oh, that's clever." Marcus spun them forward again and blasted out of the asteroid into clear space. Silence. No more pursuit, just empty, peaceful void. "We did it," Tail-Eyes said softly. Marcus slumped in his chair, shaking. "Yeah, we did." That was the most illogical, unpredictable, ridiculous flying I've ever experienced. And here he was, laughing in a stolen alien warship with an AI who called him ridiculous. "Tail-Eyes," he said. "Who were those people? Real bounty hunters don't use military tactics." "Marcus, they weren't looking to capture you. They were ordered to kill you. And the authorization codes they were using, they came from the Defense Corps, from someone very high up. Someone wants you dead badly enough to send military assets disguised as bounty hunters. I'm receiving a distress signal. I can tell, even when they don't deserve it." "Yes," Tail-Eyes' lights pulsed soft blue. "You could have sold me. You could have left me. Instead, you flew through an asteroid tunnel backward while I shot at people. If that's not partnership, I don't know what is. And you're also absolutely insane for wanting to help people who will probably shoot us." "Yeah," he said, "we're going, but Tail-Eyes." Some things, Marcus thought, were more important than survival. Some things were worth proving, even if no one would ever thank you. The colony ship was dying. Marcus could see it on the sensors as they approached. Hull breaches, engine fires, life support failing. And circling around it like sharks were 3 pirate vessels, tearing it apart piece by piece. "They're not even trying to board," Tail-Eyes observed. "They're just destroying it. Make people afraid to travel these routes. We're outnumbered 3-1 and I'm still damaged from the scrapyard." Tail-Eyes paused. "Tactically speaking, this is inadvisable." Marcus had learned long ago that in combat, surprise was worth more than firepower. The first pirate ship never saw them coming. Tail-Eyes' plasma cannons tore through its engines and it went spinning away, disabled. "1 down," Marcus said. 2 to go. And now they know we're here. They're trying to flank us. Watch." "You're insane," Tail-Eyes shouted, but she was already firing at the left ship, her targeting systems tracking perfectly. "Keep hearing that," Marcus called back. The pirates tried to adjust, but Marcus was already moving, using their own positions against them. He flew in patterns that made no sense, random and chaotic, impossible to predict. It wasn't Valkyrie logic. It wasn't military doctrine. It was pure human stubbornness and creativity. "They're breaking formation," Tail-Eyes said. "Your unpredictability is frustrating their coordination." 2 down, Marcus said. 1 to go. The missile streaked toward the colony ship's bridge section, where the life support controls were located. Tail-Eyes didn't hesitate. She threw all power to the engines and fired her defensive barrier, extending it to cover the colony ship. The missile hit the barrier instead, exploding harmlessly, but the effort cost them. Tail-Eyes' shields collapsed completely. Alarms screamed through the ship. "Shields down," Tail-Eyes reported. "1 more hit and we're—" He just moved, putting Tail-Eyes between the missile and the colony ship. The explosion tore through their hull and Marcus was thrown against the wall. Sparks flew. Systems failed. The lights flickered and died, replaced by emergency red. "Marcus!" Taylai's voice was strained. Hull breach on decks 3 and 4. Weapons offline. Engines at 20%. We need to retreat. My weapons are gone. We do this or they die. Simple as that. When Taylai spoke again, her voice was different, resolved. Velkari warriors believe that how you face death defines who you are. I refused to upload with my people because I believed in living with honor. But you, Marcus, you're teaching me that honor isn't just about how you live. It's about what you're willing to die for. The pirate must have thought they were retreating because it turned its attention back to the colony ship. Big mistake. Marcus pushed the engines beyond their limits. Taylai's redirected every bit of remaining power to the structural integrity fields around the bow. They weren't going to ram, they were going to hit. At the last second, the pirate saw them. It tried to turn, tried to fire, but it was too late. Taylai's crashed into the pirate ship's side, and the impact sent both vessels spinning. But Marcus had calculated the angles. The pirate ship spun directly into a debris field from its own earlier attacks. It struck a chunk of destroyed hull plating and exploded in a ball of fire. Taylai's and Marcus spun in the opposite direction, systems failing but alive. We did it, Taylai said, her voice weak. Yeah, Marcus coughed. We did. How bad is the damage? I'm going to have to shut down non-essential functions. We need a repair dock, proper tools, supplies we don't have. Then a voice, cold and flat. Marcus Chen, we know who you are. We watched the records. We know what you did. 5,000 Defense Corps personnel dead because of your decision, and you think we'll welcome you here. That's all that matters. Marcus stood in the damaged corridor surrounded by sparking wires and failing systems and felt something break inside him. Not anger, not surprise, just exhaustion. He'd saved them. He'd nearly died for them, and still it wasn't enough. Marcus, Taylai's voice was so soft he almost couldn't hear it. It's okay. You tried. That's what matters. Even when the odds say you'll fail, even when people don't deserve your help, that's not weakness, Marcus. That's strength. None of them had what you have. None of them would risk everything for people who hate them. That's uniquely human. That's uniquely you. I need to go into hibernation mode to preserve my core consciousness. Just get us somewhere safe, okay? For being my partner. For showing me that there are still beings in this galaxy worth believing in. He should have been afraid, angry, desperate. Instead, he felt determined. Taylai's had believed in him, had called him partner, had been willing to die with him for people who'd rejected them both. That meant something. That was worth holding on to. Okay, Marcus said to the empty ship. Okay, we're not done yet. I'll find a way. I always find a way. An abandoned research station. It wasn't much, but it was a chance. Marcus fired the maneuvering thrusters and pointed Taylai's toward the moon. The ship shuddered, barely responding, but she moved. Together, they limped toward the surface, two stubborn souls refusing to quit. Behind them, the colony ship jumped to FTL, leaving them behind without a backward glance. But Marcus didn't look back either. He never did. He only looked forward toward the next impossible thing. The crash landing was not gentle. Marcus fought the controls as Taylai's fell through the moon's thin atmosphere, her engines barely responding. The surface rushed up to meet them, rocky, barren, dotted with ice formations. He aimed for the flattest area he could find and prayed. They hit hard. Metal screamed. The ship skidded across frozen ground for what felt like forever, carving a long scar in the ice. Finally, mercifully, they stopped. Marcus sat in the darkness, breathing hard, checking himself for injuries. Nothing broken, just bruises and cuts. Lucky. Taylai's, he called out. No response. Her systems were completely dark now, hibernating to preserve her core. She was alive, but barely, and without repairs she wouldn't wake up. Marcus grabbed his emergency kit and stepped outside. The moon was cold and lonely. A dim red sun hung in the sky, providing barely enough light to see by. In the distance, Marcus could see the outline of structures, the research station he'd spotted on sensors. It took him an hour to walk there. The station was old, abandoned decades ago by the look of it. But it still had power, running on automatic systems. Marcus forced open the main door and stepped inside, his flashlight cutting through the dust. What he found made his blood run cold. Files, reports, military communications, all stamped with Defense Corps seals. And at the center of it all, a name, Admiral Kessler. Marcus started reading. The truth came out in pieces, like a puzzle assembling itself. The battle 3 years ago, the one that had destroyed his life, had been a setup. Admiral Kessler had known about the enemy trap, had known the fleet would be destroyed. But the Defense Corps had needed a reason to expand, to increase military spending, to justify a larger war. So Kessler had sent the fleet into the trap deliberately. 5,000 soldiers, sent to die for political reasons. But Marcus had ruined the plan. By redirecting the fleet to save the colony, he'd saved most of the ships from complete destruction. It had still been a disaster, but not the total loss Kessler had wanted. And Marcus had seen the enemy patterns, had started asking questions about why the fleet was positioned so poorly. So they'd court-martialed him, called him a traitor, made him the villain so no one would listen to his questions. Marcus's hands shook as he downloaded the files to a data chip. This was proof. This was evidence that could bring down Kessler and expose the entire conspiracy. He had to get this information out, had to make sure people knew the truth. He was halfway back to Taylor's when the sky lit up. Ships, dozens of them dropping out of FTL, not pirates this time. Defense Corps vessels with a massive battle cruiser at their center. Military-grade, heavily armed, designed for one purpose, overwhelming force. Marcus ran. He reached Taylor's as the ships began landing. The battle cruiser stayed in orbit, but smaller vessels touched down all around them, kicking up ice and dust. Soldiers poured out, weapons ready, forming a perimeter. And then a shuttle landed directly in front of Taylor's. The ramp lowered and Admiral Kessler walked out. She was tall, gray-haired, with ice-cold eyes. She looked at Marcus like he was something unpleasant on her boot. "Marcus Chen," she said, "you've been quite difficult to kill." His hand was on his plasma cutter, but he knew it was useless. He was surrounded by 50 armed soldiers. One wrong move and he was dead. "I'm impressed," Kessler continued. "The bounty hunters, the pirates, all failed. You even managed to survive in that Valkyrie wreck. Quite resourceful. I know everything, the trap, the setup, all of it. I'm going to kill you myself, take those files and destroy that alien ship. By tomorrow, you'll be forgotten." He should have been terrified. Instead, he felt angry. "You sent 5,000 people to die," Marcus said quietly. "For politics, for money, for power. We needed public support for expansion. Sometimes sacrifices have to be made. Take him." They surrounded Kessler's battle group, filling the sky. Marcus stared in shock. What was happening? Then a voice boomed across all communication channels, a voice Marcus recognized. The colony ship captain, Admiral Kessler, "Stand down. Captain Torres, this is a military operation. Leave immediately." He hadn't broadcast anything, unless Taylor's had. Before she'd gone into hibernation, she must have uploaded the files automatically, sent them out on every frequency. A final act of stubbornness, even as she was dying. "That testimony is falsified," Kessler said. "Chen is a traitor who..." And all that time, he was the only one telling the truth. "This is mutiny. I'll have you all arrested." Some of them looked sick, others looked angry. They'd believed they were serving honorably. Now they knew the truth. One soldier, a young woman, stepped forward and placed her weapon on the ground. Then another, then another. Within minutes, every soldier had disarmed themselves. Kessler stood alone, surrounded by the evidence of her crimes and the people she'd betrayed. "You can't do this," she whispered. "We just did," Torres said. The Galactic Council has been notified. They're sending peacekeepers. You're going to stand trial, Admiral, for war crimes, conspiracy, and murder." In that time, Marcus worked on tail-eyes, using parts scavenged from the research station and supplies donated by the civilian fleet. Slowly, carefully, he brought her systems back online. When her consciousness finally flickered to life, her first words were, "Did it work?" Marcus testified. The files were presented. Kessler's conspiracy was laid bare for all to see. She was sentenced to life imprisonment. The officers who'd helped her were stripped of rank. The entire Defense Corps was forced to undergo reforms, and Marcus was exonerated, fully. Publicly, with honors, they offered him everything: reinstatement, a command position, a place back in the fleet. He turned it all down. "Why?" the council representative asked. "You could have your life back." "I don't know," Marcus admitted. "Somewhere that needs help, I guess. Somewhere people are in trouble and no one else will come." For being too stubborn to quit. But because he'd found someone who believed in him even when he was wrong, who stood with him even when it was dangerous, who refused to give up, no matter what. That was worth more than any medal or honor. That was worth everything. 6 months after the trial, Marcus and Taileyes found themselves in the outer reaches, helping a mining colony rebuild after a natural disaster. It was quiet work, honest work. No one shot at them. No one called Marcus a traitor. It should have felt peaceful. "I'm bored," Taileyes announced one morning. Marcus looked up from the repair work he was doing on a damaged mining drill. "You're always bored." "I was built for combat, for glory, for—" They were well matched that way. His communicator beeped. Marcus picked it up, expecting another repair request. Instead, he saw an official Galactic Council seal. "Marcus Chen," the message read. "We have a situation that requires your unique skills. Please respond immediately. We're the famous humanship partnership that took down a corrupt admiral. Perhaps they need someone stubborn and foolish enough to attempt the impossible." A coordinator appeared on the view screen, a tall, crystalline being named Velsara. Her voice chimed like bells. "Marcus Chen, Taileyes, thank you for responding. We have a crisis. A deep space research station has been taken hostage by a radical faction. They're demanding independence for their sector and threatening to destroy the station if we send military forces. 300 researchers are trapped inside. The council has negotiators, special forces. He claims he has information about other conspiracies in the Defense Corps, and he'll only speak with you. And if there truly are other conspiracies, we need to know. I also think we're going anyway, because we're both too stubborn to let innocent people die. An invitation or a trap, probably both. I'm detecting 47 life signs," Taileyes reported. "Most clustered in the main research hall. That will be the hostages. 8 life signs spread throughout the station, the hostage takers. And 1 life sign alone in the command center. Kessler fooled a lot of good people. Maybe Reith was one of them. Maybe he deserves a chance to explain before we start shooting. Even people who don't deserve them." Taileyes monitored everything through the station systems, ready to act if needed. The command center doors opened. Commander Reith sat at the control console. He was human, middle-aged, with tired eyes and a weapon on the desk beside him. He didn't reach for it when Marcus entered. "Marcus Chen," Reith said, "the man who destroyed Admiral Kessler, thank you for coming. 3 years ago, the battle where Kessler sent the fleet into a trap, I was her tactical officer. I helped plan it. Kessler told me it was necessary, that the sacrifice would save billions in the long run. I believed her. I trusted her. And then I watched 5,000 people die because of my calculations, my planning. I've lived with that for 3 years. Threaten more innocent people, that's your redemption. Names, dates, plans. But if I come forward publicly, I'll be killed before I can testify, just like they tried to kill you. You faced down an army and won. If anyone can help me reveal the truth, it's you. Before anything else. That's not how this works. Now, Marcus, Talai's voice was urgent. Ships dropping out of FTL, Defense Corps vessels. They're not here to negotiate, they're here to destroy the station. They're going to blow the entire station. The station will be destroyed before they clear the blast radius. They were going to murder 300 innocent researchers to cover up their conspiracy. Talai's, Marcus said, can you extend your shields to cover the escape pods? And if I do, I'll be completely exposed to weapons fire. That's what we do, remember. Real, genuine fear. I don't want to lose you. Then softly, always. Warning alarms filled the ship. Marcus held onto the command console as Talai shuddered under the assault. Marcus, Talai said, her voice fading, it's been an honor being your partner. Civilian ships, hundreds of them, the same fleet that had surrounded Admiral Kessler 6 months ago. Captain Tor's voice boomed across all frequencies. Defense Corps fleet, stand down immediately. You are firing on protected witnesses. Continue your attack, and you will be considered hostile. When we saw the Corps mobilized to kill witnesses, we knew we had to act. No more cover-ups. No more innocent people dying for politics. That ends now. And Talai's damaged but intact pulsed her lights in triumph. We did it, she whispered. Yeah, Marcus said, smiling through tears. We did. 3 weeks later, Reith testified before the Galactic Council. His evidence brought down 12 high-ranking officials and exposed a conspiracy that had lasted 20 years. The Defense Corps was restructured completely, with new oversight and accountability. Marcus and Talai's watched from orbit as justice was finally served. What now? Talai's asked. Now we find the next impossible thing. Partner. His career, his honor, his place in the world. But he'd been wrong. He hadn't lost anything. He'd found everything that mattered, a purpose, a partner, and proof that even in a galaxy of billions, 2 stubborn souls could make a difference, one impossible choice at a time.